Welcome back. You know, when I see these film clips, it makes me want to watch the movie again. And I strongly encourage you, if you get a chance, watch the movie again. I would say after we've been through these 6 weeks together, that you'll watch it or see it in a whole nother light. Well, the thought for this evening comes from this idea. Before we went to the movie clip, I had said that the White Witch, she fights to kill and destroy, but Aslan fights in a whole different manner. Did you know that God fights for you? He does. Now, what's interesting is that we know that Satan is created like we are, and so to say that there is a fight between God and Satan is really not true. We, the created, can't fight against the Creator. It just doesn't even make any sense. We can't fight with the Almighty, and neither can Satan. But God fights for you. He fights your battles for you in ways and in areas where you probably don't even see or realize. You see, the reason why God has to fight for us is not because He has done something or Satan himself has the power over us to do things. No. He fights for us because we have gotten ourselves into trouble. Every time. We ourselves have done something that has gotten us into trouble with the law that God has written. If you noticed that there is a law, and God is the law, therefore obeying the law is Him. That's just the way that God works. He doesn't work outside of His own law. And so consequently, in rescuing us from our sin, He fights for us. He provides a way to satisfy the law. Because that's the very thing that the witch did in trickery and all that she could possibly do. Remember the Turkish delights. She got Edmund to give up on his brothers and sisters, appealed to his human nature. And one of the first things he was willing to do was to become a traitor to his brothers and sisters, to literally hand them over to the witch so that he could be in charge. She appealed to his human sinful nature. Well, God went in and He fought for Edmund. Aslan did. God fights for us. For you see, Satan is very much aware of who belongs to him because of sin. He marks us, mars us, gets us to be twisted up in knots. We stink with sin. But God fights for us in order to set us free. And even in the middle of that fight, the law requires that sin has to be paid for. Isn't it unusual that God fights for us by laying down His life? That's an oxymoron, isn't it? How do you fight for somebody by giving up? How do you fight for anything by surrender? Oh no, when we think about fighting for something, it's going after it. Go get it by force if you have to. But that's not how you satisfy the law. And in this case, in order to win for Edmund, Aslan had to satisfy the law. The law that was written right in front of him. He was there because He is the law. And how did He satisfy the law? So that the witch could give up her claim on Edmund? He laid down His life in exchange. The power, and here's the beauty of it, the power of love when someone lays down their life for another is what was required. And in laying down that life, there had to be the spilling of blood. The Bible says it's because life is in the blood. And that is what Aslan did with his life. That is what Jesus did for us. And you want to hear one of the magnificent parts of that? That decision was made before the foundations of the world were ever created, that Jesus was going to lay down his life for us. Why? Just because he loves us. Isn't that amazing? Well, on the next page over, I'll have some questions or some things there for you to do. Go Bible spading. Let's look up some verses in God's wonderful wonderful word that is our world, that will just illuminate our hearts for this week, because God fights for us. Well, that's all my time for tonight. I hope that you have enjoyed this particular week. I hope that you will take it and work it out for the whole rest of the week, and just get some really good things out of this and allow God to bless your heart and soul with that idea that God fights for us, especially in the area of our salvation. Well, that's it for me for now, and we'll see you here next week, week number 6. That's our last week, so don't want to miss it. God bless, and we'll see you next week.